Title: Betrayed Husband Finds Strength and Overcomes Deceit. Hi everybody! I'm leading a goal of 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I truly believe we can achieve it together. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it would really mean a lot to me. Now, let's dive into the story. Guys, this is the longest story I have ever done on this channel. The next day, I contacted 3 law offices about filing for divorce. I can't say I want or even need a legal divorce, but that will divide assets and determine custody of our children. What she does with who is no longer any of my concern. There isn't a soul in the world I can talk to about this. I don't know if I need advice, a pep talk or what. I use my main account for memes and other bull crap, but I made this throwaway because I'm going mad trying to cope. Life has pushed me to the edge, and I'm struggling to find my integrity, yet I question what actually are the righteous things to do. I guess to begin, I need to explain that I am typing this in a hospital room. Yesterday, about 7:30 a.m., my wife and I were involved in a wreck. I came out with only a few cuts and bruises. Mary, my wife, suffered a crushed shoulder, broken collarbone, 3 broken ribs, and a collapsed lung. They expect her to fully recover, but for now, they have her heavily sedated. Having to type this out on a phone is a daunting task, but at the moment, I have the time to push through even if I'm not sure I have the will to do it. I wouldn't be posting in this sub if things were perfect with our marriage, obviously. I just could never imagine my wife being unfaithful in any way. My heart is broken. I feel incomplete, like part of me is missing, and the saddest of all, that part is sitting a mere 3 feet away from me. I had felt we were growing apart over the last 3 months, but I couldn't come up with any reason why. We are both 34. Mary and I have known each other since we were children. We began dating in high school and all the way through college. She is the only woman I have ever done anything of a physical nature with up until recently. She could say the same. We married a year after college and had our first child, Michael, a year later. 3 years after my son was born, Carrie, our daughter, came into our lives, and I tried to spoil her as much as I could. One night, I fell asleep on the sofa. Rebecca's bedroom was downstairs, and I didn't want to wake her up, so I took the stairs up to the guest room and opened the door. Then my life ended. I remember walking into the room and seeing 2 heads peeking out from the covers. I remember leaning down to pull the comforter towards me. I even remember seeing my wife laying her head on some guy's shirtless chest. The next thing I remember was Becca, Mary, and some half-naked guy I'd never seen trying to pull me off of him. What in God's name do I tell my children? Yeah, I can tell them we were in a wreck, but I'm not the kid that can fake emotion. Obviously, my wife does it with ease, but when I loathe someone, it shows on my face. They will know I am angry at their mother. How the heck did my life come to this? I already know I need to see a lawyer. I figured that much out. But how do I handle this? It took so long to get approved that I didn't think my post had posted. I just started getting notifications, so I am sorry for the confusion. I explained waking up that morning and sending a text to head off in the snow to make sure my wife was okay. I told him about walking in on their daughter and some guy I'd never seen and unconsciously beating him over and over. They were both shocked. Then I told them what room she was in at the hospital, explained I always wanted them to be a part of the kids' lives, so I hoped they could remain friendly with me. I told them my dad was looking after them at the moment, but I was divorcing their daughter. I've met with 2 lawyers, and I like the latter one quite a bit. I'll meet with the 3rd-rated lawyer to see if he wows me. If not, I'm going with the 2nd firm's top divorce attorney. Either way, I will have removed 3 top legal sources from her list of candidates, and that's a win in my book. Custody is my primary focus. I'm not going for full custody, and I wouldn't want it if I could get it. They need their mother in their lives, but because she, Nadia, my lawyer, has done everything she can to help with my well-being and sanity. After agreeing to take my case, we went over the usual forms I needed to fill out. I listed property and all bank account information as well as ballpark estimates of what Mary and I make income-wise. After explaining about the wreck and what I saw just before it happened, she was asking if I had an STD panel. I explained that I had, and everything had come back clean. She then was asking if I had documented the infidelity. I couldn't stop crying uncontrollably until I was dry heaving. By the time I managed to stop puking and feeling dizzy, one of the paralegals arrived to pick me up. She took me to the firm, and as soon as Nadia finished with the client, they ushered me into her office. The first thing she told me was that sometimes the tests come back wrong. She said she understood I was upset and had every right to be, but she urged me we needed to test Carrie and me again in a local lab to ensure nothing gets contaminated. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even if I wanted to, I began to wonder if Mary knew or suspected. I suddenly wanted some darn answers. I met with Nadia after work Monday, and she told me she'd meet with the private detective hired to follow Mary. Due to the wreck, she hadn't been out of the house to cheat anymore, so I wasn't surprised he didn't have recent evidence. But one of the things Nadia had me bring was Mary's old cell phone from out of the drawer at home. He was able to get in and access nearly every app. During the custody meeting, I wanted to stand and flip the table at the way she was stating her case. Nadia then asked her if the other father or her child was going to be a good dad too. Mary asked what other father she was talking about. My counsel slid the paternity results for Carrie across the table. As much as I have hated what my life has become since discovering her cheating, I needed to be there to see her reaction in person. She was obviously shocked to know Carrie was not mine. The casualties: I've lost a wife and daughter, that's 2. A wife lost a husband, that's 3. And the daughter lost her father. And a brother had his sister become a half-sibling. Then you get into grandparents and in-laws. Mary essentially destroyed what she was doing, and I swear by all that's holy I will let them see all the evidence the PI finds. She admitted to meeting with men from dating apps with Rebecca and using girls' time as a time to hook up. She claims she never meant to hurt me. She swore she loved me, but I don't believe her anymore. I don't want to take him from her. I don't want either of them to suffer, but I haven't seen Carrie since the test results, and I can't let her see me break down because of them. God knows how much therapy is going to cost me, but I will have to pay for it. There is no way to know if her real dad can afford it, and my own therapy will be enough to pay for some shrink's new beach house. Driving home after the meeting, a huge part of me just wanted to end it all. It seemed like the most beneficial option at that moment. My goal was for things to go as normally as they could, like the other times they stayed with grandparents while Mary and I were on vacation. I mean, that's what I wanted. I knew reality was going to be something completely different, and I had little control over any of it. Jessica, the intern from the firm, pulled into the driveway. I watched her pull up from the front bay window. I walked outside and down the steps as the car pulled to a stop. I was smiling as I approached the passenger side, trying to leave scars on our souls. But as survivors, we need to stick together. We need to be there for each other because we're going through the same darn thing. Yes, very different perspectives, but at that moment, I was feeling the loss and yet sparing her much of the pain by taking it upon myself. I've been looking at this as Mary taking my daughter from me, but it is just as true to say Mary took her father from her. The villain in this darn story is Mary. I'm not feeling like I should feel guilt for that. I love her. I do feel different, right or wrong, but I do love her. I went from not wanting to take anything away from her to continuing to want to give her the huge difference. But anyway, I was sort of waiting for Carrie to tell me she loves me. I mean, I know she does without her saying it. No, she took the moment to tell me, "Mommy loves you." I knew what she said. I made a point not to snap at her and be as sweet as I could possibly be. When I was asking her, "Carrie, why did you tell me that?" she said, "Mom," and she felt depressed and dead inside. She stayed out of work for an additional 6 months due to her issues. I got her the best shrinks and doctors money could buy. She admitted as much, and she said even that started making her feel guilty, feeling she was letting me down. I was carrying us, she said. She felt overwhelmed, even though she knew she wasn't bearing any of the burden. She started to doubt if she ever would have become a mother, despite always wanting to be a mom. She withdrew with friends, and I are weathering a storm. I've managed to shield them from what's coming. I will shield them from as much of the shrapnel as I can, but our souls are going to bleed a time or two before this is all over. This carnage could have been prevented, but once the bomb goes off, it can't be avoided. I'm sorry for venting. I intended this as an update only, but this is all too much sometimes. I am in therapy 2 times per week. Not sure if it's helping, but it's early on with the shrink. I explained she and I had a long talk the night before after they got home. Carrie said she wanted her mother to stay with us. It hurt me to tell her that was never happening ever again under any circumstances, but she had to be told. But I did promise them one day I would tell them exactly why I felt their mom didn't deserve to live with us anymore. Carrie seemed to accept that more than Michael, oddly. The motion to adopt Carrie was the second or third biggest thing Mary had to worry about that day. I explained the soon-to-be ex-husband had slept around with far too many guys to know, but I told him the search will go into high gear once all divorce and civil proceedings have been completed. They were both glad to know Mary will get slaughtered in the divorce. They were both glad to know that therapy for all 3 of us had helped tremendously. When I told him I was anxious for Mary to start working again so she could pay child support and whatever civil fines she ended up owing, they laughed. Mary had nowhere else to go after being disowned, and my attorney, Nadia, was attempting to get Mary to see a mental health professional of her choosing in the hopes it might benefit me. Nadia recommended 2 local psychiatric practices to Mary's lawyer, saying we'd pay for her sessions, or she could choose any other therapist she wished to see. I had some major misgivings about having to pay for the sessions or do anything that might actually benefit Mary. If you learn nothing else from me, know this. Our marriage felt anticlimactic somehow. It amazed me how well Mary's family stuck to their guns in regard to disowning her after they found out everything she'd done. I'm sure some of that was due to wanting to stay on my good side so they could visit with the kids. Even though her parents and sister knew she was in the psych ward, they never even attempted to visit, nor did I obviously, but it was apparent from the times I talked to her parents how disgusted they were by their daughter's actions. They were seeing her in such a frantic emotional state. She yelled at me that she wanted to see her children. Yet again, I told her to go have her lawyer file paperwork for visitation. But unless I saw an evaluation from some mental health professional telling me otherwise, she was an unfit parent and manic mother. She said the kids are the only 2 people alive that will still have any love left for her. I told her that was probably true, but they are just kids, and they don't know any better. The cops advised me to have no contact with her or her parents. I fully expected her to seek out some type of free legal assistance to file for partial custody, but no one ever contacted Nadia. 2 months went by, and honestly, the longer we went without hearing from her or about her, the more unnerving it became. But almost 3 months ago, when I got home, there was a large manila envelope in the mail. The address was handwritten, and the return address only said Sydney, Australia, with voided stamps that were Aussie. I truly couldn't imagine who had sent it. Mary tried to justify that I somehow benefited from her having other sexual partners because it taught her to be a better lover when she was with me. I would have far preferred a completely dead bedroom than being married to a wannabe sorority slut with a tattoo of the word next to and an arrow pointing down. What kind of guy would stick his D inside of any woman that gave it up that easily? Those guys are just worthless too. Next time, go break one off instead of helping to destroy lives. Rebecca felt like all she had done was enable Mary to do what she actually wanted to do and didn't owe her a darn thing. It's an interesting debate topic, one which apparently got heated. I have no idea who won, but that friendship ended with a lot of hair-pulling, profanity, and punching. Wow. Either way, word got out that Rebecca had been involved in destroying my marriage, and things got rough for her. I don't use any social media, no, I don't consider Reddit social media, but I'm told she was unfollowed and unfriended by many people. Like a year ago, there's like 5 different posts about it, and I fired up that first one and just started reading. Man, what a story. He wins in the end. You gotta love it. Guys, go to the comments. I don't care if this is your first time hearing this. If I don't care if you've heard the story before, if this is your first time hearing it, tell me what you think about the story. Let me know. I'll catch you guys at the next one.